Welcome to the Biz Gone Social podcast. We help entrepreneurs navigate how to get known, get customers, and get the edge over their competition. Here is your host, Lorraine Duncan.
So here we are on the Biz Gone Social podcast, and I'm so glad to be here. And my promise to you is I want to give you a little bit of social media caffeine that's going to energize your business. It's going to energize your marketing, and it's going to help you stay social. After all, don't you want to be the business that everyone's talking about? I know I do. And I'm really stoked to have Greg Barber with me. Greg, welcome.
Well, welcome to you. It's nice to be here.
And Greg, you have like a unique business. I mean, when I say you have a printing business, for instance, but it's unique. Can you share a little bit about your printing business and why it's different from other printing businesses?
Back in 1990, which was the 20th anniversary of Earth Day, I saw 100 middle school kids celebrating Earth Day. That was the 20th anniversary of Earth Day. I stopped my car. I was on Long Island between Manhasset and Port Washington, and I just watched them with such enthusiasm, wanted to make sure that our planet was safe, that I decided to merge what I was a paper salesman back then, and I was also a print broker. And I decided to merge the two into becoming an environmental printer. And people say to me, well, what is an environmental printer? Well, I would say is that an environmental printer uses the most recycled content paper. In my case, I use 100% post-consumer waste paper. That's paper made completely out of previous printed paper. And why did I do that? Was that the day before the 20th anniversary of Earth Day, I saw Connie Chung on TV state that 60% of the landfill problems in our country are due to paper and printing waste. And then another video showed that they had to close a landfill in Staten Island because it was 10 stories high in garbage. And they were afraid that planes coming from Europe that were going to Newark Airport might hit the landfill. I don't mean to laugh, but might hit the landfill, and they had to close the pressure kills. So between the kids, Connie Chung, seeing that, and finally seeing that they had pictures of barges of waste from New York City being taken from the New York Harbor into other cities because we didn't know where to put it anymore. So I thought that was very unfair. And so those were the reasons why I became an environmental printer. And most printers in those days did not even know what post-consumer waste meant. Most printers in those days didn't even consider 100% post-consumer waste versus 30% post-consumer waste versus no post-consumer waste. So I was really one of the first to become an environmental printer. And boy, am I glad I did, especially with what's going on over the last couple of years. My business has not gone down. It's actually going up 30 to 40%. More people care about trying to reach net zero waste by 2050, which is the Paris Accord. And I'm getting more calls from all over the world for printing.
Wow. What types of businesses work with you, would you say? Well,
it's funny. I had colleges and universities were like Princeton University. Then I also had the United Nations. At least 8 different years, I did Climate Week at the United Nations in September. And they came to me and said, hey, Greg, we need 4 brochures, for Climate Week. And but we want them on 100% post-consumer waste recycled paper. And that became a annual order for me. Terrific. U.S. Green Building Council, another big account. I get a lot of entrepreneurs, startup companies. So when you're going to start up a company, maybe you want to look environmental to your clients, and maybe you would decide to use a letterhead that's 100% post-consumer, or a brochure that's 100% post-consumer, a flyer, et cetera. So a lot of entrepreneurs started their business correctly by using the top recycled paper, and I was very happy to do their business.
Would you say it's cost effective too, not only just saving the environment and everything, but I mean, is it that much more expensive than just doing it the regular way, or is it more expensive?
In many cases, it's less, because what I do is I concentrate on 3 or 4 grades. I don't have like 50 grades. So that gives me the opportunity to buy in bulk those grades. I have Roland in Canada. I have Nina in Wisconsin. I have Mohawk in Cohoes. I have Monadnock in New Hampshire. I buy at least 2,000, 5,000 pounds at a clip. And I do not penalize the client who's giving me a small order. So in essence, if they went to another printer and say, hey, I only want 300 pounds worth of paper, well, that printer may have to pay 40% more for the paper than I'm paying buying in bulk. So I would say they're not paying more.
Wow, that's awesome. What would you say, I'm going to switch conversation here a little bit. What has been your biggest challenge in 2022 so far, with coming out of the pandemic? What would you say is your biggest challenge?
That's a very easy one for me to answer. And that is, we have severe paper shortages throughout the world. It's not just the United States. I do 700,000 greeting cards for one client a year. And I told that client, you have to give me the order 4 months in advance, because I'm backed up 4 months to get the paper. Or why don't you and I will split the cost of that paper. I'll stock it for you for free, and you'll have paper. We'll have paper ready for your next order. It's the challenge is cash flow to go ahead and buy paper 4 months in advance. I used to get paper in 1 week. Now I'm more worried about 4 months. So I have stocked, I don't know, $10,000 out of my own money to make sure that my clients have paper. So that's been the biggest challenge.
Wow, that's awesome that you're thinking that ahead. I mean, I know that a lot of people have been saying how long it's taking to get something, and you being aware of that and on top of that is amazing. And I'm sure your clients are very happy with you.
What's nice about my client is that they know that what I'm saying is true. And, everybody in the world knows everything's backed up. I mean, you want to buy a house and do some work on the house, and you can't get windows for 4 months. So they know that I'm telling the truth, and they're willing to work with me. So that's really good that the client is working with me for this problem.
Yeah, that's awesome. Now, just my last question. I love to, what is one piece of, if somebody's starting out, I have a lot of people on this call that are starting out, or they're thinking of going into business for themselves, or they're really in business, but they're struggling a little bit. What would be one piece of advice that you could give them?
I would say that you have to market, you have to advertise, you have to belly up to the bar and spend money to promote yourself, whether it's doing LinkedIn with you, or it's doing Facebook, or Instagram, whatever. I find that my return on investment is very good as far as I spend the money, I get new clients. You can't be stingy with your marketing dollars, and that would be the number one thing. And then you got to be willing to work really hard. I mean, I put in an enormous amount of hours. I start my business at 6 a.m. answering, doing estimates and whatever. I mean, there's no shortcut to being successful. You got to work hard, and you got to get lucky. I mean, I got an order for TerraSkin labels, which is labels made out of rock and mineral, not vinyl or plastic. And the client had 50 different designs for doing labels to put on candles. And I got lucky because I have a designer that works with me that was able to correct the files, make them so that I can go to press, and it turned out to be a very, very profitable order for me. So sometimes you got to get lucky, and everything falls into place.
That's awesome. Greg, if somebody wants to get a hold of you or needs some printing done, what would be the best way to get a hold of you?
My cell phone is 973-224-1132. You can text or email me to that. Text or call me to that number. My website is ecofriendlyprinter.com. That's ecofriendlyprinter.com. What I also like is if people really want to know more about environmental printing, when you go to my website, you click blog, all right? And I have over 100 sustainable articles on my website. And I think that probably, that's another thing for somebody starting a business. Having a blog on your website was very good for my business. And I hope that people will go to my website and check it out.
That's great. And I'll put all those links below the post of the blog. And I just want to thank you so much for being a part of my podcast, and really have a great week. And to all my people who are listening, you all have a great week too.
Okay. So thank you very much.
All right. Bye-bye.
Thanks for listening to the Biz Gone Social podcast. Find us on Instagram at BizGoneSocial for extra tips. Check back weekly for new episodes. Until next time, stay social.